Hello everyone and welcome back to Unity of Command. This is the second part of the campaign scenario Typhoon, and this is probably not going to be the final part either. This is a huge scenario, as you have seen in the first episode. If you haven't, then check that one out first, because I'm not going to explain any of those details again. Before we begin turn 3, let's see our situation. Here in the extreme south, a lot of our units are cut off, but at least the Soviets are also not on such a great situation. And the storm has already arrived, as you can see. Yep. In the next sector, we are in a bit of a pickle. The Soviet forces are clearly superior to ours, so it would take a huge amount of time to drill through them. Using these 3 units only. So basically we need to use some good strategy skills here, and also we will need to link up with these units in the next sector as soon as we can. Here the situation is stable on both sides, unfortunately. We will force our crossing of the river here by the SS, and also we will try to demolish everything, at least units that are on our side of the river. We cannot directly take this city of Bryansk by direct assault because it's well defended. Here our infantry is facing Soviet units which are stronger than them, but we are also in forests which give us a defense bonus, so we will just wait it out and hope that sooner or later they'll run out of supply. They are in supply at this moment, but if we cut them off, then they will just collapse. Our pincer movement towards the first not pincer movement, our wedge movement towards the first victory hex, Vyazma, is going great. There is practically nothing defending it at this moment, and so all we need to do is capture it with these units and link up with this road, and then we'll be in supply and we will have cut out these units off from supply. So everything is going according to plan here and here as well. Unfortunately, in the extreme north, things are not really good. The first sector, the northernmost sector, has advanced as well as can be expected, and the relief force, so to speak, has been cut off, and even amongst themselves they have been cut off. So for instance, this unit is not in danger because all we need to do is remove this one, and we can connect the two, connect it to our supply route. And I don't think this unit, or this one to be honest, can pose much of a threat, but we need to get these units back to supply as soon as possible, because after this turn they won't be able to attack and they will start losing steps to suppression, and that cannot be allowed. And the Soviets are still in full swing here, so this is going to be a tricky battle. Already you can see that at least in some parts of the front line the Soviets are breaking or have broken, like around Vyazma. But you can also see that they are fielding two complete defense lines in front of their final objective still after this one. So this battle is not over yet by far, even in those sectors where we are standing great. So here in the south we have also been cut off, so as I've said, it was quite unlucky, but that's only a temporary setback, and I know that we will remain in supply, so that's why I managed to that's why I dare a dash here. Unfortunately, by itself this move achieves nothing. This Kursk garrison is still easily in supply, so this is not going to be sufficient to cut them off. And this unit is bothering me, that it's still so much in our back, so it's so far to forwards from the Soviets' perspective. Here in this sector, the only idea that I have is to protect our own supply line, and if we have to fall back to it, then so be it. But we cannot allow for a breakthrough, or we cannot allow to be cut off. And if we slowly retreat while also destroying Soviet units, that's fine by me. Here in the next, now we are already connecting kind of the two sectors, and the idea here is to cross the river and start pressuring this city. The SS, of course, is superior to the Soviet tank division. And I know I'm jumping around a bit, that's how I play the game. But going back to the south, this setup basically means that I haven't yet taken action with all of the units yet, but this will stay here in supply. It will not attack because it would have been a costly attack. The Grossdeutschland motorized division only has 4 active steps, and this 93rd Rifle Division of the Soviets has a T-34 special step attached to it, so it's actually stronger than our elite motorized division, believe it or not. So this is not yet final, or not yet stable even, but at least we are stabilizing the front, and the moment this is captured or broken through, all of this is going to practically collapse. The only issue here is time, and time we don't have, as always, so we'll come back to this. On better news, let's capture Vyazma. We use our air attack on this one. It's actually only turn 3, so we don't need to capture it on this turn, but the opportunity presents itself, so why not? Why not try at least? And it goes excellently. It gets breached and it runs away, so even if it recaptures, reoccupies rather, the victory hex the next turn, that's still fine, nobody cares. It's not going to be a strongly held city at all. We gained, I don't know if you recall this, but this was the unit that this tank unit was the one that we reinforced the last turn with the 2 active steps. That's why it has 6 active steps. And after this battle, or during this battle, or whatever, it gained a level of experience, so it's now veteran. That's excellent. This is a great unit now, by all means. And yeah, and now we don't have anything on our side of the river, so that's also great. And this unit is weakened, so I dare attack it and destroy it. And the best unit that the Soviets field here, this 101st Motorized Rifle Division, actually we run out of supply the next term, so that it will not be able to attack. So as long as we can cut it off, and we can from supply, then it's impossible for it to be able to attack, and that's fine. That's all we really need, to be honest. So we can position our weakest units around it, and they will still hold it in place, like so. We just cannot attack it yet. Here in this front line, we need to, well, we don't need to per se, but we can easily remove this unit on our side of the river. And this one is still strong enough, so we're just waiting for it to run out of supply before we destroy it. And I moved this tank unit 1 hex to the south, so it can cross the river next turn and can attack the river, the city from the back. Right, the same idea here, only to the north. And sorry, so the same idea here, but only to the north of the city. I'm not afraid that it will step out of the city. It would be a stupid move, and it really wouldn't cut us off from supply, so it would be totally pointless. And we block it off anyway. Here in the north, we need to continue the push. As I've said, we need to reconnect with as many of these units as we can, all of them, hopefully. So we need to get them back in supply, otherwise they will start to fall. And this one is not difficult, as I've mentioned, so here it goes, bang. As long as we can hold the road, this unit will be resupplied, and that shouldn't be an issue, because this unit won't be able to attack, neither will this, in my opinion, if I remember correctly, next turn. So we're all good. This unit is almost completely suppressed, except for the special step. Now that the special step is dead, this unit is also dead. That's right. Yeah, and here in the north, I could have brought this unit down to the south, but what I want to use it for is to capture the Soviet supply source, so so that we can eliminate any and all presence here of Soviet units here north of the Volga River here, so in this area. And now these units need to fight for their lives, kind of. This is the last turn that they can attack, and that means that as of this moment, this unit would get resupplied, but obviously the AI will cut it off. It's not difficult to do so. So we won't be able to use it the next turn, but hopefully it won't be destroyed, at least on the Soviets next turn, so on turn 3, Soviet side. And then we can pull it back to safely and wait until it gets resupplied. A lot of these Soviet units are extremely weakened, so we are trying to remove them, and this goes relatively well. And yeah, what I'm trying to do here is trying to keep all these units in supply, as you can see. The idea here is also that these units will receive supply from the north. They are in range, so if they they're not cut off, then they will. However, the cavalry division unfortunately doesn't need to consider areas of control, so it will cut off one of these options off. And we still have the two steps of armor reinforcements. If you recall, the first on the very first step we took on the very first action rather we took on the very first turn was to remove a veteran weaker tank unit with 4 active steps, and we allocated the first 2 steps to this unit, and the second 2 steps will be allocated to this unit. The experience level counts, so as I've said, you can actually reallocate or reinforce units or reorganize units and reallocate the steps to stronger units, so you can use security and Sicherung units to strengthen, to bolster SS units with, for instance. That works. However, the experience is considered, so if you use lower level experience units to or steps to bolster your units, then it will lose experience. The unit with this bandit was veteran, so it still actually gets removed, the experience level, but I'm not afraid. This unit will get back its veteran level soon enough. And now we still need to get these units out of harm's way, or get them back into supply. And the easiest way for the tank to get back is exactly what I did. There was a high chance of this unit retreating after a battle, and once it rushes south, it's back in supply. Unfortunately, it cannot at this moment assist in the north, but that's fine. And here the Soviets are still quite ahead, and I was thinking that this unit will be sufficient. I was actually calculating steps, and there is no way that these units can cut us off in the next turn, and after that they'll start to get progressively weaker and slower. We need to keep this unit here, because if this Soviet infantry division crosses the river, then it will cut us off. Same thing here, so we need to keep them boxed in, kind of. Other than that, they cannot cut us off at this moment, so that's great. And of course, the victory X is guaranteed to fall to us next turn, so far so good. Yep. It's just a few more actions to ensure that we are in supply. And as you've seen, I don't know if you've seen this move, I pulled all the units down south. I rushed this one ahead. That is kind of important to rush as fast as you can, to advance as fast as you can. And I'm still holding as much of the supply route as I can with these meager units, these few units that I have here. Almost all of these actions, all of these steps that I take, all of these actions that I take are designed to keep us in supply now. Right. So on the Soviets' turn, and before they begin, let's review their situation. Everything here is out of supply. So didn't receive supply, and some of these units are starting to run very dry indeed. So this one is fully out of supply, and it's totally worthless, even though it has a special step. That is also out of supply, so it doesn't matter, it's nothing. This unit is finally starting to run dry, but other than that, there is no collapse here. This is the only front line that is really affected by this. So sooner or later we will crush them here as well, but then the storm will come. The Soviets begin by receiving a whole bunch of reinforcements. Once again, a T-34 here with a motorized rifle division. Yeah, so as I've said, prepare to always meet more and more enemy units as you progress in advance. No matter how many you destroy, it seems that they always have more units to put up against you, until in one moment they simply start disappearing. So at the very final turns they actually start to get weaker very fast, and you will have a great experience crushing them. These two units are cut off. This is extremely sad. They will not be able to attack, and they will not resupply in the next turn. Fortunately, at least some of these tank units managed to get resupplied. These units also won't be resupplied. Our supply from the south doesn't reach up until the Pioneer, because of the forested areas, so the supply takes more, you know, gets more depleted as it has to cross through difficult terrain. And if you've seen that, then you realize that the Soviets are abandoning this position. It's a totally worthless position, by the way. It's in the middle of nowhere because of lack of supply. So we'll try to strike after them and try to destroy as many of them as possible. Our layer division was destroyed again. If you recall, in one of our earlier scenarios, we also lost it, or maybe in both two of them. But that is fine. It dealt quite a lot of damage to this Soviet unit, and it only had one step active anyway. And yeah, the Soviets are picking up great positions. Actually, the AI is good at that. This area around Rev is difficult to break because it's a bridge. It's a city behind the bridge, so obviously. Kaluga is the same deal. It's a city that with the supply line crossing it, or rather next to it, behind a river. So all of these are great positions to hold and tricky for us to break, but we will manage. Don't worry. And fortunately, at least in some areas, they are running, and it managed to reinforce its, managed to reoccupy the Victory Axe, but that's not going to help the AI in the next turn, obviously. And funnily enough, the storm arrived, and that's just wave 1 of the storm. The real storm is still coming, and that means that some of our units, like these ones, did not get supplied, because the supply normally would reach here, but because of the wet terrain and bad weather, it actually takes, you know, more of a toll on our supply, so they are not supplied, which is fine. We are going to reconnect this whole supply route here, and so it's not at all a problem. It's just something to consider. And due to the rain, the defenders get a huge bonus. So we are actually using our Air Force to soften them up, and it goes perfectly, and bang. It finally runs out, escapes, and gets destroyed. I immediately send this unit ahead, and this one as well. We have a lot of time to capture Mozaisk, but I want to threaten, and this is also the supply source for the Soviet units. So by capturing more of the road, we are cutting these units off hopelessly. That's the plan here, and all we need to do is contain these ones, and then they'll just collapse. Okay, so that went great. So we can now destroy this one. Of course, whatever we can destroy, we will destroy. So that goes without saying. And here in the north, as I've said, these units cannot attack, and we need to rescue them. So we need to remove this unit, which goes without any issues, obviously. And yeah, now they're connected. But we need to also uphold the connection, and that's also crucial. So if we get cut off anywhere, then we will then there will be an issue. And since this road hex actually is in full supply, crossing the river is not a bad idea. The unit will get resupplied there, and more importantly, it will be able to attack other targets and threaten other frontier areas. So this was a deliberate move. The reason I attacked as much as I could was that I was afraid that the Soviets would attack some of our weaker infantry units in the back and cut us off there, but this is not going to, obviously now this is not going to happen. As I told you, these units did not get resupplied from the south, but now they're, if we can manage to create a safe contact to the supply route, then they will be resupplied this turn. And of course, all those Soviet units that are weakened like this, we can attack without any problems. These units are on paper far superior to the Soviet one. It's half depleted. However, it is entrenched, and the weather is horrible, and the prediction of the battle outcome was quite unfavorable for me, so I did not attack deliberately. Yeah, and we are still withdrawing these units to ensure that they don't get harmed, at least one of them, that they don't get harmed and don't get destroyed, obviously. Right? We're also screening off our assault. So we have captured this bridge as well. This might come in handy. The supply, in good weather, the supply can come through here as well. We can also move units across here. So the Rev garrison, while formidable, it looks weak compared to our forces, and we can also reallocate forces and cut them off from here as well, which we will do. Now on this side, on this sector of the front, they are starting to run dry, so we are capitalizing on it, as you can see, very easily. But we are still not attacking this T34, which is in full supply, by the way. Instead, we're trying to cut it off completely, to force it to get depleted, and then we can destroy it. Threatening like this is a good idea. If they do attack, then at least with the guns, we stand a good chance of at least causing some damage back. So in retaliation, we might be more successful. And I forgot to disband another infantry unit, or any unit, to be honest. So we only have one step to reinforce this a unit with, one infantry step. I use this one. It immediately loses its elite status, but it will get it back soon. So that's not a huge loss. And now we need to cut off Kursk as soon as we can, and with this move we probably almost have, kind of. The supply needs to come from here, and I think it still connects, so that is not going to be enough. Right? We're also trying to destroy this extremely strong unit. As you can see, it doesn't go perfectly according to plan. And this straggler unit is still quite powerful, as you could see. So I give up on the idea of destroying it. The next turn it will be completely out of supply, and we can just wash it off the map. We attacked the city of Bryansk, and this was quite an underwhelming attack, unfortunately. This was even worse, but at least now it's mostly out of supply. Out of active steps, I mean. And now I wager a direct assault, which goes relatively poorly, but I'm now upset and I don't want to give up. And look at this one. The defender has literally one active step, the special step. Granted, it's their strongest one, but still. And I know we are attacking across the river to a city hex, but still, the result is that we lose 3 active steps, and it loses one, the active step to suppression. So it's quite something. We actually don't get to destroy it, and that's a really sad result. All right. In theory, the supply is connected from the south to the north completely, but they can cut us off, and I think they will. So this is a play they can make. However, here we are slowly advancing and making sure that the Kursk garrison gets cut off. It's still not, by the way, so we need to do something about it. We're trying to remove this T-34 unit, this cavalry division with T-34, and once the special step is removed, it's no longer a threat. In fact, it's totally worthless. And with this move, we have finally cut Kursk off from supply. Even if they reconnect, it will be out of supply for one turn, and in the next turn we can worry about cutting it off again. We need to try to finish this. I leave this infantry division here. It stands no chance in a direct assault, but once the city garrison is totally depleted, it can just march in practically. Alright, I'm trying to cover there I was trying to cover the supply here as much as I could, and here we are disbanding one of the units. I actually just remembered at this moment that I still have not disbanded any of my units, and I want to use the reinforcing active steps to strengthen my better units. And so I was looking around which unit I was able to disband or reorganize. You can only reorganize units that have not done anything, have not acted this turn, and this was the only one that I could remove without threatening my supply lines or the front line or whatever. So this is fine, and we remove this pioneer unit to safety as well. The Soviets begin as usual by receiving even more reinforcements, and obviously they do. So just look at this. This unit is equipped with the Katyusha, and here they receive 4, 5, 6 cavalry divisions on one turn, and that's not all the reinforcements they got. So be prepared, and practically an infinite amount of Soviet reinforcements will always keep you occupied So it's not, you don't only need to destroy what you see here. The reason I pushed that unit ahead, and you might be wondering why I did that, is there is a supply hex here, and if we cut it off and cut Orel off, so if we do a move like this here, just in pure theory, then a lot of these units would run out of supply. Actually, that cavalry unit managed to recapture its supply source. Not that it would help Kursk obviously in this turn, but still a funny move. In these sectors they're quite useless, even if they managed to destroy this unit and this one as well. They were quite weakened, and the Soviet units all have active special steps. They're slowly gonna run dry, so I don't care. As long as we can keep them contained, we'll be fine. Alright. Now they're already starting to flee. They're realizing that at least in some areas of the front, like the extreme north, they're in very poor they're in a very poor situation. And yeah, remember how in the beginning of the map the scenario, and by the way this is turn 4, Tula was only defended by this one unit all by its lonesome, and now look at this unit is a motorized rifle division with a T-34, and look at all this mess here. And yeah, so this is what we need to cut through or destroy. So the resistance is endless basically. It's still trying to run away, trying to reconnect and trying to get back in supply. This is not going to work out well for it. And now turn 5. So let's see, the weather is the key factor here. The storm is coming. We already have suffered some bad weather, but this is where the real fun starts. In the next few turns the battlefield is going to turn into a mud field where you cannot really do anything, to be honest. We need to progress as fast as we can and as much as we can advance before that time arrives. First destroy this straggler. Good. Then I want to threaten ahead, but it doesn't work out well. I captured the Soviet supply source again, not that it was challenging. I pull this one back to keep it in supply, and this set of moves might have looked silly, but it was completely deliberate. We connected more hexes to the road, to this supply, and so we have more supply available here. Once again, I want to threaten to the east so that the AI at least believes that we are cutting through there. We're not really doing that, but that's what I wanted to believe. And we're cleaning up. Finally, the resistance here is broken, and on turn 5, believe it or not, we almost cut off Orel as well. Kursk has been cut off, but Orel not yet completely, unfortunately, but still we've made great progress. And finally we can capture Bryansk. Bang. And connect the two supply routes. This is great news, by the way, and a great achievement. And we are already celebrating by pushing as much forward as we can. So as of this moment, this whole road network is connected, and all of our units are, or almost all of our units are in supply rather, and we are trying to push forwards. Unfortunately, the storm will come and will turn all of our plans ugly. So this is inevitable. And what's really funny is that we have this excellent Soviet unit here, so we need to be aware that it can easily destroy our almost any of our infantry units rather, and it can threaten our supply lines. So at least here I need to leave my tank division here so it doesn't cut us off. It could destroy here this one here, but it's not really that crucial, so that's fine. Right? And we don't have the time to wait until this Soviet unit runs out of supply, so we try to destroy it. And at this moment, this might not have looked significant, but it was. At this moment, we cut off Orel as well. We are in turn 5, and both Kursk and Orel are cut off. This is great progress. If we can keep these cities cut off, then in a couple of turns we can remove them and reconnect our supply up to this point basically, so we can begin our siege of Tula, which is due to be captured until the end of turn 12, so we have a lot of time. And that's the point, that we need this supply source so that we can comfortably create an offensive, start an offensive against this city. All right, this unit ran out of supply, so it's now dead. This unit is also partially out of supply, so we are trying to destroy it. So the reason I wanted to destroy it is so that we can start moving these units forwards, and that's not a bad idea at all. So that way we can free up our units and use them for other purposes. Here I'm just trying to make sure that they don't cut our supply off as well, and yeah, we're just cleaning up house. They reconnected, so there was a bit of a danger that they would get resupplied, but you know, apart from this one step, everything else has been destroyed. Even if this one gets resupplied, I don't really care. We crossed the river, and now we are very close to capturing their supply source. Even if we are out of supply, I don't care. This unit doesn't need to fight. Its sole purpose is to capture this one supply source. That's it. And we are finally removing the last unit of the original Soviet front line on turn 5, amazingly. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to threaten Kalinins, to turn Kalinin, this victory hex, to make the AI do some irrational moves. I'm not really planning to attack it. We are going to do that, but I don't expect this unit to capture it. It is already out of supply, so it won't be that effective in the future. And what we are doing here is we are also trying to cut off Rev from the east, so that these units also start to run dry. This is also a great way to make this defenses here totally useless, and the AI to panic and try to retreat. I still have 2 further turns to capture Mozaisk, but why not try it if we can? We need to use our air attacks on something anyway, so this looks like a promising target. And although the air attacks were quite underwhelming, we immediately breached this defending unit, so that's fine. We are not in a rush, as I mentioned. Nothing can dislodge this tank unit, and nothing can cut it off either, so it's fine. I reinforced with infantry steps this pioneer unit. This is one of our best units, so hooray. And we are trying to, make sure the supply route is secure, and also you have to make sure that your objective hexes are not recaptured by the Soviets. If they do it in this turn, then that means at the beginning of turn 6 it's not in our hand, and we have failed our brilliant victory. That we cannot allow. A bit of shuffling, and these units in the north don't really pose any threat to us, to be perfectly honest, so we're just cleaning up. And once again, if you don't send units to the north, then you literally cannot break through here. So this looks clean now. It is clean, but without these reinforcing units, this simply not possible to destroy the opposing forces here. We captured the city of Rev. Sorry, I don't think it was Rev. Hold on a second. Oh, that is Rev. I apologize. So we captured the city of Rev, and at this moment we only have this one unit. It won't be able to. It will be able to attack next turn, if I remember correctly, because it will receive supply from this source that I wanted to capture with this infantry, and it's quite strong. So I decide already at this point that the best way to deal with it is to simply seal it off and wait till it runs out of supply. It might take a few turns, but after a while we can just leave some weakened units behind, and when it's completely dried, then we can just remove it off the map. As you can see, yes, it got resupplied actually. This unit is out of supply, this unit is starting to run out of supply, and most importantly, the city hexes here are also running dry. And this one as well. It's one of their best units, thanks to the SS being able to run so far ahead. If you look at this map now, you can already see that the first defense line has largely been removed. There is still some concentration of forces here, but that's about it. And we are making good progress almost everywhere. Even though our situation is not fully stable yet, we are advancing. This is somewhat difficult to do, so try to follow my general strategies at least. Okay, it retreats to back to supply, obviously, and the AI realizes that its basically final position prior to this last defense line is being threatened, so it's trying to bunch up its forces in one place, but it's not really going to help it because we're all over the place, so we can attack from anywhere, move anywhere. And the SS got cut off, but it's fine, it's gonna be reconnected, so it can survive one turn. Yep. This was a very futile attempt trying to reinforce this unit. We will cause it huge casualties, so it's not that it matters. And the weather is horrible again. Now it's on this part of the map, and more of the storm is coming, which is amazing. So this is when the going gets tough weather-wise. But it's turn 6 and we have made great progress, so let's continue. Remove this last straggler and capture the supply source of the Soviets. And now what's happening is that this unit can attack once before running out of supply, so we are going to attack Kalinin with an air attack, and it didn't work out. And now we attack it, and this was pretty underwhelming, but amazingly the infantry unit retreated. We won't be able to capture it next turn because it will move back in and we won't be able to attack it, but at least it lost its entrenchment, so this is this actually worked out well. And so since this was such a successful little assault, I'm going to repeat it next turn with this unit. This tank just turned elite, gaining all this experience. And this part was quite underwhelming, so I was expecting more progress here. We are not attacking across the river to an entrenched position with the Katyushas, so that's not happening, but we can remove, and we will remove this one unit, even though it has a gun. It's not really that scary. And this unit is also not scary, and the infantry can move back, actually even advance. So at this moment we attack the victory hex. The infantry retreats, and of course we capture it. Nothing can dislodge this tank now, and even if they cut it off, which I don't think they will, then we can just, you know, reconnect it later. We are still well in time. We need to capture this turn, this city hex the next turn. All right, we're trying to clean up here. There is still a lot to do, so so we decide to clear. Unfortunately, due to the bad weather, our movement is also quite hindered, and thereby making our progress more, you know, more horrible. But at least, and of course, our attacks are pretty much weaker as well. Still, I don't reorganize all of these units because I need some of them to cope, you know, to hold the supply line, so I can remove them later. We still have reinforcement steps coming, and as I said, as long as you have them coming for the next turns, then you don't really need to waste them, because they might come in handy on the battlefield. Alright, and you might want to actually reorganize tank units instead, so that's also a good idea. The reason I did everything in the north like this is to once again seal off this unit from our supply line. It will start to run dry, and in 3 turns, which is a lot, but granted, but we don't need to leave strong units here. In 3 turns we can just remove it off the map. Here in the south we need to clean up these units, and it's really interesting because although the Kursk garrison never moves, this unit does, so I kind of prioritize this one because it's annoying, and I want to destroy it, but of course it survives. It has a T-34 attached to it. And now I use the 29th Motorized Division, which is very weak, to capture the Soviet supply source here. This is more for, you know, making the AI panic than any practical reasons, to be honest. The road itself is totally in supply, so it's not like it cost them anything. And once the Katyusha unit is removed, this front line, at least in the extreme east, looks stable. I know we are kind of running out of supply and I'll have to think about how to solve it, but I'd realized that first I would need to clear up this area, reconnect the SS and remove all these Soviet units messed up against us, so that I can see how many of these units, first of all I can see how far our supply reaches and how many of these units I need. We have a lot of time to capture Tula, but of course we want to be as far ahead as we can. This was a great attack. This is one of their best units, and by dealing so much damage to it, it actually works out quite well in our favor. Now that this unit retreated, it actually lost its special step because it's a towed equipment, and so we can finish it off, which was a lucky break for us finally. And I realized that this unit is going to be fully out of supply the next turn, and just to humiliate the veteran motorized division, guards motorized division, I used the cavalry to destroy it, which is hilarious. Also with this we have practically connected all of our supply, so as long as good weather holds, we are quite okay-ish, as long as we stay close to the river. As I said, we're not really in a hurry. We'd rather stay in supply, and that's why I destroy this unit, so that it doesn't cut us off. And at this moment we are in supply almost everywhere, and yep, I make sure that we only rush ahead as far as we are in supply. Unfortunately, bad weather is going to present some bad news for us. Yep, we're not, as I've said, we don't want to reorganize these units that I've been moving. We can still do that later, but let's see the Soviet turn 6. This is really funny. These units are almost completely out of supply. This is totally out of supply, and this only has the special step active. Orel garrison is also starting to run dry. It's a guard rifle division, veteran with this a gun special step, but once it runs dry, its experience and special step and elite stats won't protect it anymore. And overall the situation is quite precarious for the Soviets. Of course, their kind of second line of defense is still okay, still up. Here in Rev as well, it's still reasonable. At least they're still holding the river, and there's still quite a few units with special steps. But finally you can see what this map is about as we converge and coalesce on. Once all these units break through and amass, then the situation of Moscow will be untenable. Alright, obviously the Soviets begin because with what else? By receiving reinforcements in the form of T-34, so cavalry divisions with T-34 special steps, obviously, and they bunch up in our faces. And this was actually a very good move by the AI, because if we run out of supply, then due to the weather, for instance, then they can capitalize on it. And once again, I simply couldn't believe my lack of luck. This unit recaptured the supplies, but this is not important for it, so it's not like it can get resupplied immediately, but this is annoying. So let's see how we deal with it. And the Soviets realized that we are kind of moving on from all around, so they would have to defend from all angles, and this is quite difficult to do. They actually leave this hex open, which is a mistake in my opinion. And on our turn 7, it seems that things are back to normal. The storm is still coming, by the way, so this was not the storm. The storm is still here, as you can see. But fortunately, we have made enough progress that it doesn't matter, in the sense that it even if we get slowed down, we are still far ahead enough so that it doesn't cause our lines to crumble and our plans to fail. I think I'll make the cut of the video right here, and I'll see you on the third and probably final episode of this video. Thank you all for watching. See you all next time. Bye bye.